How's it going, AIDA fans? Welcome to the full in-depth guide of the HD-X3L-IP67, our very first weatherproof POV camera. In this guide, we're going to be going over an unboxing as well as a full feature set preview. So sit back and relax and enjoy. AIDA Imaging. So right in front of me I have the HD-X3L-IP67 box. So right here on the right you're going to see the feature sets. You can see the weatherproof, 3.5 optical zoom, full HD, 3G SDI, RS422 serial connection, as well as 422 color spacing. So very standard for our POV lineup here at AIDA, except the difference is that this guy is weatherproof. So if we go ahead right here, we're going to take a look at what the flap is to open the box. And on the left you'll see the serial number, as well as the package contents on the right side of the box. So if we go ahead and we take a quick open, we're going to see some boxes. The first one right here is going to be a remote control. So the OSD on this guy is on the 10-foot/3 meter cable, right? So if you're unable to reach that, or it's a very hard place to get, you can use this remote control. It's IR from a distance, and you can control the settings, enter the menu, adjust the zoom. Whatever you need to do, you can do it via this remote as well. The next one you're going to see is the power plug. Now the power plug comes with standard US, but of course it has its international adapters in there. Like I said before, very standard for your POV experience with AIDA. And then lastly, we're going to have in this big box the HD-X3L-IP67 itself. So it comes in a plastic baggie. I'm going to go ahead and take it out. And right here, you can see its ginormous cable as well as its breakout cable right here. Now that we got this unboxed, let's take a look at the physical aspects of the camera. So the first thing you're going to notice about the HD-X3L-IP67 is just its tiny size. So when fit in the palm of my hand, it looks really tiny, and when measured up to a ruler, it comes out to be a little bit over 3 inches. Taking a look at the frame, you're going to get your standard hardened aluminum frame that you get on all your POV cameras from AIDA, as well as this rubber sealant right here, which is going to give it the IP67 rating. So what the IP67 rating suggests is that it's protected from moisture, dust, as well as water submersion for up to 1 meter or 3 feet for about 30 minutes. Going along here, you're going to notice our logo on the right and left side of the camera, as well as some 1/4-20 mounting holes on the top and the bottom. If you take a look at the front, you're going to see the beautiful glass encapsulating our 3.5 optical zoom module. And then on the back side, you're going to see your screws as well as your pigtail cable. And at the other end, you're going to notice your breakout cable. So your standard up, down, left, right AIDA joystick right here to enter the menu, as well as your 3 outputs on this side. So this green one right here is going to be your RS485 communication. So this is just serial connection if you want to connect to it via computer or anything like that. You have your 3G SDI connection right here. So you just plug your 3G SDI cable into this guy and you're outputting video to wherever you're sending it. And then lastly, you have your power barrel. So this one you use with your standard default power supply that came with the camera itself from the box. If you're trying to use something else, just make sure that it matches the rating that we gave it, DC 12 volt. So just one quick warning about the IP67 rating on this guy. If you have any problems with the camera, please contact AIDA support first before you do anything. Do not attempt to open this guy or remove the rubber sealant, because if you do so, then you're going to damage the camera internals as well as ruin the IP67 rating, and lastly, voiding the warranty. So it's always best to reach out to AIDA support first, and we'll do our best to help you. Now that we got a good look at the outside of the camera, let's go ahead and take a look at what the camera looks like as well as the menu. So now that we have the HD-X3L-IP67 video set up, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the feature sets of the camera. So modeling for us in this video is going to be our wonderful PTZ NDI series. And in order to enter the menu, we're going to be using the remote that came with it. Now I would use the OSD breakout cable, but the problem is that it's all the way at my computer right now and won't be able to reach it. So in order to use this, you just got to make sure you're in the front of the camera, and as long as the remote is basically touching the glass, or sorry, reaching the glass in pure line of sight, you won't have any problems. So make sure that you're either angled from the front or you're directly in front of it, right? And you will be able to change the menu or zoom in and change stuff. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to test the zoom. So this is a 3.5 optical zoom. These cameras right here are about 2 feet away. We're going to go ahead and zoom in all the way. Alright, now upon first zoom, you'll notice that right here, the ring of the camera is basically almost at the edge and it's clear sight. You're going to also see our AIDA logo right here clearly. And you're going to also see a little bit of the background as well as the spacing, right? You also see my my softbox in the back right there. So with 3.5 optical zoom, it's not meant to zoom in all the way, but it's meant to get a pretty nice close-up, something that you can use if you're, you know, if the camera's just sitting there, right? If it's in a standing position, you can zoom in a little bit, just like that. So we're going to go ahead and zoom all the way back out, and we're going to enter the menu. So the first thing you're going to notice is the focus control. For focus control, we have auto or manual. So for auto, it's going to always try to focus on whatever's in the middle right here. So if I move my hand right here, it's going to focus on my hand. If I move it back here, it'll try to focus on my hand again. Now the lights are a little bit harsh here, so please excuse that. But yeah, you'll see that's trying to focus. Under manual, once you set it, it will never try to autofocus again. And the best way to do it, if you're trying to focus on something, so if I put my hand here, all you gotta do is press OK on the push, and it will focus on that, and then that's it. It'll stay like that. So you'll notice the background is now blurry because it's focused on the near sight right here where my hand is, and it won't try to do that until I change it to auto. There you go. Now for zoom speed, this is just changing the increments. If you think the zoom was too fast or too slow, you can make it faster or slower. For focus limit, this is basically telling the camera where you want to focus. So if an object is close or further away that you want to focus on, just go ahead and change the limit. So 10 meters for further, 10 centimeters for shorter, and then so on in the middle. The next thing we're going to look at is the area/size autofocus. So this is a really unique mode for our AIDA POV cameras for zoom models. When you turn this on, normally the zoom camera is always going to focus on what's in the middle, right? If you want to change that, if you want to make the box smaller or you want to move it to the side, right now we're going to move this to the top left for the autofocus algorithm. Now notice it's on auto still. If I put my hand where it was focusing on earlier, it's not going to focus on it until I move my hand into the box. Once I move it into the box, then it will focus on that plane, and you'll notice right here that the background is now blurred out, right? Because it's focused on my hand again. So as long as I'm within that area, it will focus on that. And right now, you're going to see that I'm blurred out again until I move my hand back in that box. So if you have this camera all stationed up somewhere, and you know, it has a nice view, but you want it to focus on like a podium, then you can go ahead and use that instead. Use this area focus. We're gonna go ahead and turn that off. And we're gonna exit that. Moving on, we're gonna go to white balance control. So for white balance control, first thing you're gonna see, ATW is gonna be the standard. We have one push. So if you wanna use one push, which is highly recommended, all you need to do is get a white piece of paper like this, put it right in the front to cover most of the screen, and then we're gonna press OK. It's gonna basically color grade your camera to the white right here, and it's gonna come out with the best color it could possibly be. Now, this is not gonna also auto adjust, this will always stay the way it is, so it's a really good mode to have it in, especially if you don't want the white balance to fluctuate. We also do have indoor, we have outdoor, we have manual. So if you want to manually adjust the blue and red, you can adjust it via here. And we also have auto white balance. So this is the difference between auto white balance and ATW, is that auto white balance is a little bit on the warmer side, while ATW is a little bit on the cooler side. So we're going to go to one push just because it's already calibrated. it saves it, so even if you did change it to auto or whatever, it will always save what you did before that, which was the one that I showed you. Now we're going to move on to AE control, and we're going to take a look at what settings we can adjust. So we have auto exposure, we have shutter fix, we have AGC fix, we have manual, and then auto again. So under auto, we're going to notice we're going to see AGC max. Think of AGC under DSLR terms like ISO. So this basically it lets the maximum amount of light in. So if you don't want that much light in, we can go ahead and lower this, and you'll see that the camera starts to get darker. Sense up is just basically sensitivity to darker particles. So if you're in a darker scene, you need a little bit more sensitivity from the camera sensor, you can go ahead and turn this up 2 times, 3 times, and so on. Under AE bright, this is just like brightness. You can go ahead and adjust the overall brightness of the scene. And then flicker control, just in case you're having flickering issues, you can turn that on. We're going to move on now to shutter fix. So depending on if you're outside or not, you can basically open or close the shutter hole of the camera to let amount of light in that you want. So usually outside, if these cameras are being used there, you'd want to put it on the biggest one, 1 out of 10,000. You could also adjust the AGC max as usual, and sense up and brightness. Next we have AGC fix. So if you want to do it just purely based off of AGC, you can go ahead and lower that and raise it just like that. Lastly, you have manual, which is a combination of all of them. You can go ahead and adjust the shutter as well as the AGC that helps it out. So for now, we're just going to leave it in auto because it's doing a pretty good job. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to check out color. So under color, this is just basically the black and white version. If you don't want any color, you can change that right there. Under image control, we're going to have a bunch of these settings. It's basically like lens shading, you have contrast, you have brightness, saturation, change the color hue, edge enhance, so this is basically like sharpness, auto saturate, we have auto edge, black white levels, and gamma correct, and then dynamic noise reduction. Under special, we're going to have something like digital zoom. So if you want to digitally zoom, we do have a 2-minute Tuesday on this if you want to learn a little bit more, but basically you can set a digital zoom limit and it'll multiply times the optical zoom, giving you a little bit more zoom or a lot more zoom depending on what your limit is. So no need to use this. We have the zoom magnification, which will tell you what the zoom is on the top left. You have defog, you have backlight, you have binning, we have defect pixel, which is another cool feature of the camera. Basically, if you see any of the pixels on here that are stuck or they're different color, you can go ahead and just cover the camera like this with your hand. Make sure it's totally black, and then press OK. You might have to use the joystick just because it covers the IR sensor, but you can do that on any of our AIDA POV cameras, just in case anything like that happens. Under display function, you're going to find your freeze, mirror, flip, image effects, and picture styles here. So if you accidentally mount it upside down, you can change it here. You have your wide dynamic range, and then privacy masks. So you can move these privacy masks, you can manipulate them, you can manipulate the size as well as the positioning. You could also get rid of some of them if you don't want all 8. So these are really cool if you want to create a crosshair or something like that in the middle of your camera. Under setup, you're going to find the cam title, which you can go ahead and label text or anything like that right here, and you'll see that it appears on the top right. You change the text color as well. You have your communication, which is more importantly used for RS-45. You can change the cam ID, the baud rate, as well as the ID itself on the top left. Your system info, which is just basically the software version, and then the output format. So this is at 1080 60p. You have all your drop frames, You have your lower resolutions, 25, 24, as well as interlace and 720p. Lastly, you have factory reset and user reset. So if you change the mode to user reset, you like these settings, you want to save them, you can go ahead and save them as a user. And then if the camera for whatever reason doesn't save a setting, you can go ahead and reset it on that. Or you can use factory reset. All you need to do is just press OK on this and you're good to go. And other than that, that is all the settings that you have on the HD-X3L-IP67. Everything else on this remote right here, that could just be used to open the iris, change the focus, as well as zooming in and out, and so on. And that's about it for the HD-X3L-IP67. If you do have any more questions, you can leave them in the comment section below. But other than that, if you did enjoy this content and you made it to the end, please do consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so that when we drop any other further guides or 2-Minute Tuesdays, you're informed right away. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.